Hello and welcome back to String Zero. We will be continuing where we left off, which, if you recall, is after the whole incident with Ravy and the monster whose name I forget, the one that was trying to sort of absorb him. I believe I completely forgot everyone's names now. The jackalope type looking character was the one that sort of pulled him out and explain like the whole reason why his name is King and why he doesn't go by his actual name, and the reason why Ravy can no longer go by Ravayan. He has to go by a different name now because the monster has that name Ravayan. So in order to sort of like not sever but like sort of distance themselves from that thing so that it doesn't take over Ravy or something, doesn't eat him, he has to go by like a different personality or something. Honestly, it's been a while since I read it, so having a little bit of a hard time trying to remember what was going on. This is also not continuing the story. This is sort of like a little intermission, and it revolves around some of the more antagonistic characters of the story, meaning, I already forgot his first name, but the Secretary of Defense, Tarov, his son Darek, and two other characters. I think one of them we have seen, but I don't remember her name, and one that we haven't seen yet, I believe. But yeah. So, really, I believe that's most of what happened, or most of what you need to know right now. So yeah. I guess without further ado, let us begin this intermission. Oh, Ravy. We are all such peculiar little knots, bound and snarled by contradiction. In our attempts to unravel, we writhe in pleasure or twist in pain, pull ourselves taut with a single, indistinct sob, then snap, silent. We're family, all of us. There is no stopping them. She loves you. These wonderful. Is murdering her what your son would have wanted? And terrible threads. He would have wanted to live. That entangle us. If we stop this here, then we can recover, start over. You said it while clutching your leaf. We were never going to be able to bring him back. We just don't understand radiant energy well enough. Look at our situation. You're not trading a life for a life. You're just killing her. Wrong. It's one life for millions of lives. I won't allow the legacy of this project to be our colony's destruction. Not after how long it took us to travel here, the sacrifices of our parents and grandparents, my sons. You gripped your necklace so tightly, your fingers burned white. Phil will be remembered just as they are. The project's legacy? This has always been about your legacy. The colony, this project, even your son. Your gaze settled on Phil's prone, wired body. If we get it right, we could bring her back too. Everything could be as it should. Don't you dare. You close your eyes. We have to do something, Rachel. Satya's in the feedback loop, full cascade. I can't stop it. All of the construct overrides have failed. We're losing containment. The failsafe shutoff is the only thing that we have left, and if we can't pull Phil out... The failsafe can't be triggered while there's active brainwaves, I know. Preventing catastrophic nervous system failure was a whole point. Rachel, it's bad. I've got multiple daemons monitoring all colony media. Radiance manifestations are intensifying, and they're no longer localized to the city. Virtual creations are materializing across the continent. Even... My God, hospitals are reporting mutations. Thousands of them. We aren't going to murder my sister. We all care about Phil, but we aren't exactly flush with options. Reality is buckling. Dene, how's my patch holding? Public access is still blocked. That bought us time, but not a solution. The sheer number of queries and counter-queries between the original trial accounts and the Council's privileged logins are still taxing the system. Why haven't you disabled the government access? I tied their access directly to the engine as a safeguard to keep them equal with their trial accounts. What? Why? Parody. You and Itcha already tried to reason with the trial adepts, and that blew up in your face, just like I said that it would. Now they're weaponizing their spoiled fantasies into open revolt. Krios, the Council's intervention could very well be what sparked the feedback loop. Don't lay this catastrophe at my feet. It was the right move. If we can't stop them, the Council and the military will. This is bigger than insurrection, you little shit. VAI already can't keep pace arbitrating the existing queries. The spillover effects from Satya's unmoderated creations will destroy us long before politics. Finally, you opened your eyes. Enough. We've all made choices only history can judge. Rachel, what's Phil's status? She's stable, but with VA overloaded, the construct's still not accepting commands. I can't pull her out. I'm working on a... Krios, the failsafe? Still not responding, and won't so long as Phil's in there. Just say the word. No, Cal, think. We've already reached the point of no return. Itcha, it's bad, right? Casualty reports are coming in. Hundreds so far. Rachel, I know, but blowing up the system just to start over won't do those people any justice. The damage done isn't going to just disappear. So we have to pivot, stabilize what we can, give me time to regain control, then we can push global reality adjustments if we have to. And we'll need Phil in the construct to do that, alive. Right, Dene? Without knowing exactly why Satya's malfunctioning, there is a chance that the failsafe's hard shutdown will not resolve the problem. With Phil's talents and time, perhaps. Exactly. I can stabilize things. I just need more time. Please. What time? We might be minutes away from annihilation. Do you think Phil would want to be the cause of that? Krios. She would want to live. Cut the life support. Just listen to me. Listen. Operator's log. Airlong colony date 32/6. We're working late tonight. It's about 2,500 hours. It's been strange. I just got back from a night walk with Cal and Phil. He's been cold since the funeral. Still blames her, I think. But today, he was driven, warm. She's still having some trouble walking, so he insisted on personally checking her new implants. Yesterday, he could barely stand to be in the same room with her. He even apologized, said something like, I realized that it wasn't your fault. You were hurt too. He would be upset to see how I've treated the team's shining star. I'm not sure how much I believe him, but Phil did. He told you that? She laughed, and explained that was his favorite insult between them. She said, he'd like to think of the stars as dreams, so naturally that made me the worst kind of dreamer. Cal insisted that there was some truth to that. Since the project wouldn't be where it was without her, I think she understood that he was unnecessarily trying to butter her up for something. So she pointed out how we all grew up and traveled through space together. Cal, your leadership, your vision, that's important. But it isn't why I've always supported you. Look. She tugged on his sleeve, walking forward on more confined legs, and pointed at a dark, glittering sky. We're star siblings. Your dreams are my dreams. She never could tell him no. From Operator Esho's lost recordings by the wanderer Varanya. I am the company's chairman. In that role, there are two attributes that I value most in myself. First, that I am a leader. Second, that I am an organized woman. Standing, I take a moment to survey my office. Symbolic of my domain, all things here have been placed in a precise way for a particular purpose. For example, this desk acts as a barrier between anyone else in the room, and not only myself, but also the vast city visible through the great window behind me. It projects authority, confidence in my security, power. Conversely, the position of the chairs opposite and shorter than the desk demands that any who sit before me must physically realize the lower position of their station. Leadership is, after all, a matter of perception. An organization controls that perception. A chairman must always be organized. Bargainer. The thread-bound intelligence speaks through my console in a discordant mismatch of voices. Sauvage, my sister would call it, bound as she is to her Azrathran absurdities. Yes, mistress. I then sit, arms resting to my side, crossing one leg over the other. The creases of my red pants are clear and sharp, the matching jacket projecting boldness. My designer heels are black, exclaiming certainty. Organization like power must remain nimble. We must dress for the present. Summarize our current intelligence on Creo. He continues to exist largely in Cybersea, where tracking him is impossible. I can only ascertain a location where he directly connects with you or Secretary Tarolf, from somewhere in or near the local net. His last known location was in the servers of a clandestine data haven. Its physical location remains unknown. Maintained by the Allos, no doubt. Tarolf has been unsuitable in his attempts to garner Creel's favor. A reasonable conclusion. As for the Creel's intentions, per your request, I have made bargains with a handful of cyber mariners and other untethered intelligences. Bits of data, glimpses, and rumors all suggest that he remains in active connection with portions of the Shradhaswar hierarchy and its Ratian order. It would also be reasonable to conclude any action their theocracy takes is an extension of his will. His contingency should working through us fail is a full assault against Leotian territory. Hence your allegiance with Secretary Tarolf. Better to call it what it is, an extended truce. We have very different visions for the city, but neither of us are interested in the inconveniences of war, and Creo does have his immediate uses. For an ancient, bodiless consciousness, you'd think that he'd find more interesting things to do than constantly meddle in human affairs. I never do. The swipe of a hand and my daily calendar is projected in front of me, along with the spreadsheet of the day's objectives. You were also never human. Your fascination is understandable. That said, I do find it interesting that despite all the bits of people that you've collected, you still consider yourself alien. You assume becoming human is my goal. I dismiss the projection. It will be a busy day. What do you want this time? More of my memories? Your requests have become more substantial. Even without his connections, Creo remains an incisive and dangerous force, especially to my kind. I will need more than a few notable recollections to balance the scales. Your sense of organization, for example. I smile at the air. What a sly creature. Using some of that stolen humor, I see. I am no thief. Thieves are compelled by the value of a thing, while I am compelled by the value of the deal itself. I take a breath, preparing myself for all the things that I must do. There will be a time to extract your payment after working hours. What a leader must do. As I have indeed lived and experienced many lifetimes which I am willing to trade. and their costs. You can pick whatever you find compelling. Very well. Then, on to other business. Activate a secure line to Agent Ipsum. Today, I tighten my grip. With your upcoming expedition, Creel's attentions have become more focused. Further obfuscation will tax me and cost you. Today, I secure control. There are always costs. As you said earlier, discovery risks us both. You are implying my bargaining position is weakened because I am too invested in our arrangement to leave. I smile. A short pause and 3 rings later, the call connects, and the holographic imager built into my desk projects an image of a disordered back alley street clinic. Ipsum has taken well to his undercover role as an underslept jazz doc sing to the endless needs of the underserved, the perfect stage for our covert experiments. But his response time needs work. Bedouex, Red Lady. Sorry for the delays. I had to get a client situated. You're not alone. My tone is razor. No, I mean, yes, I am alone. Control is always a bargain with uncertainty. How much risk is tolerated? How much cost? When a woman must conspire beneath the nose of a god thing, a bargain's risk must be mitigated with sharp judgment and deadly purpose. Lest these underlings' carelessness risk her goals. So I adjust my posture slightly, relax my shoulders, but narrow my eyes. I do not speak for 3 seconds. Status update? I can almost smell his sweat. Well, my client, that specimen 1049I, Juice, he's sedated in the chair behind me for the bi-monthly maintenance on his arm projector unit. He moves slightly to the side, extending a hand towards the subject. Transmitted vitals verify the punkish male Ikanu is essentially comatose, with all non-vital implants disabled. The updated hardware is fully integrated into the subject's nervous system. We have full access to his higher brain functions. He continues to suspect nothing. The bargainer might not approve of unwittingly trading a new arm for an altered mind, but their insights have been invaluable. A piece of a body for a piece of a soul. Good. I want you to begin phase 2 with this subject immediately. Of the current batch, the indicators for him are the most promising. I'll make the first adjustments during today's maintenance. Expected outcomes? He'll incrementally begin to lose interest in tech-punk resistance ideology and become more open to our influence. In the experiment's final stages, he'll become a model citizen, gladly submitting to company authority. Have you moved to prepare his father? I have assets working on the Reverend Advisor. He already has a little desire to accept his own responsibility in the estrangement of his son. I expect it will be trivial to convince him that cyber discordance was a reason for the subject's resistance to their family's pro-company politics and Calamite spiritual values. That's good. Having someone ready to accept this shifted worldview will help cement the behavioral adjustments. And the follow-through? Should things go as planned, the subject's change of heart will be attributed to your intervention and will be welcomed by the Reverend Advisor as a cure for cyber discordance. In his misguided jubilation that he isn't to blame for his son's hardships, he will then proselytize to the faith industry and social media that your work is a panacea for all jazz tech-related woes. Modeling suggests that it will take only a week for an influx of willing or persuaded jazz-integrated subjects to begin knocking on your door. Within a month, your adjustments will have proliferated to the hundreds, enough for us to perfect the source code before we reveal that you're a fraud and allow the whole enterprise to spiral into public irrelevance. Does that timeline sound reasonable? It does. The risk of discovery seems acceptably low. He fidgets. There's something else. Speak, Ipsum. Well, What of Aaron? He gestures to the figure behind him. He's still footing the bill for the subject's maintenance. If he notices a change and becomes curious, it could blow my cover. He'll be distracted for the foreseeable future. Things would be simpler if you had just killed him. They would. I resist the urge to smile. This is why I had selected him. But that's not your concern. I chose you specifically for this task. Focus on that. Thank you, lady. I will. I nod and end the call just as a voice echoes from my console. 5-minute warning, Chairman. Secretary Tarov, Speaker Siobhan, and Agent Darek have all been placed in separate waiting rooms. They remain unaware of each other as per your instructions. Thank you, Mona. I take a slow breath, reflecting on my space. Tarov will require a different organization for me to best assert my leadership, my control. First, I adjust my seat 4.5 centimeters higher than usual. Second, I widen the holographic map on either side of my desk by 10 centimeters. Third, I'm about to meet with a Darwolf. Darwolf's genetic history contains 67% higher chance of light sensitivity to the spectrum emitted by artificial fluorescence. So I amplify the fluorescent ceiling lights by 5 watts. Mona, send in the secretary. The door opens to receive the large Darwolf, cigar in one hand and a glass of amber in another. You certainly kept me waiting long enough. There are 2 armchairs in front of me. He moves with an easy gait to sit in one of the furthest from the door. Less than you would have for me, were our positions reversed. True. Well, consider me duly reminded of my position beneath you. And thank you for the refreshment. He swirls and peers in his glass casually, sniffing it once. It's poisoned. I'd expect nothing less. Taking a large sip, he smartly eyes the carefully arranged items on my desk. I think your future guest would appreciate a selection of choice meats. Maybe some cheeses. He shields his eyes as he adjusts his bulk in the intentionally uncomfortable seat. And dim the lights. I don't. The poison was an attempt to dull your usual repartee. I was not blessed with your fetish for wasting time. Status update? He sighs dramatically. Very well. Expedition preparations are moving according to schedule. Not only has Darek continued to report that Aaron is behaving, but the man has managed to keep the pertinent details clandestine. At worst, the other families assume that this to be another wasteful boondoggle. He sits commandingly, his arms spread wide, cigar trailing smoke, baiting me with his confidence. He assumes that I will attack. So you needn't worry. And just how is Darek doing? Miserable. But Aaron needs to be kept on a leash. I heard you strong-armed Hadil into assigning him as Aaron's personal errand boy. You disapprove? He grins, baring his fangs, is not a flinch. I'd protest your choices, but time is a factor. So I'd prefer you play with your food a little less indulgently. Forgive me for being a messy eater. My leather chair creaks as I lean forward, lacing fingers together. He's become too comfortable as of late, emboldened by our truce and mutual partnership with Creo. He assumes that makes us equals. So as he tightens the leash on Aaron, so too must I tighten his own. You're underestimating Aaron. He's useful, I agree, but precisely because deception is his art. And he is quite the artist. Are you suggesting that there's something that you know that I don't? I stare at him for a count of 5 seconds. Mona, send in Agent Darek. My console crackles. Yes, Chairman. The tip of the man's tail flicks, suddenly agitated. I lean back again, controlled. A moment passes and then Agent Darek enters the room swiftly, avoiding the second chair as he moves to stand between his father and the door. Chairman, Secretary. Agent, I've called you here to make some professional assessments. You're leaving Aaron unsupervised? There was a growl to his tone. A few taps on my desk's holographic display, and a coordinates report is projected between us. I flick the data towards him and his eyes glow as his neural implants receive the information. What's this? The last several criminal activity reports for the Tailspinner's respite. You'll note Director Hadil found nothing of substance. As I've said several times now, even before Agent Derek's reassignment, your constant surveillance of Aaron is a distraction. Weren't you just saying that I was underestimating him? I did. Not because he doesn't deserve to be watched, but because he deserves to be watched smartly. Your approach has been overt and brutish, where subtlety and finesse is required. It's clear to me that you're allowed yourself to be manipulated by a quarry who's realized just how interesting you find him. Opening his mouth, the big wolf begins to bear more than just a fang. But I act first. Agent, what is your assessment of Aaron's preparations? Darek glances between us, hesitant. Fiercely competent, but too loyal and too soft. A shame. Cursory evidence suggests that he is acting in good faith. I've reviewed his invoices and manifests to discover nothing of note. What communications I've monitored are routine. And what of your detective instincts? He briefly regards his father, who has now mastered himself. Taro flicks his cigar, still reviewing the report with glowing eyes. I believe Aaron's planning some parallel objective related to the expedition. There have been enough curious absences and other behavioral irregularities to suggest that he's hiding something from me, even though I've detected nothing criminal. Interesting. Did you report this to Secretary Taro? I did. It's curious that you failed to mention this, Secretary. He doesn't look at me, flashing eyes still focused on quickly parsing the data only he can see. His nose wrinkles. Then, his eyes dim. If I reported every unsubstantiated intuition, you'd need a lot more cigars. Even from the renowned hero of the Battle of Sati, surely his assessment is worth due consideration. I'm certain the joint offices would agree. I turn back to the younger wolf just as he shifts his weight. He's never been comfortable with that title, so I use it frequently. Incidentally, I happen to think reassigning Agent Darek, while both clumsy and risky, was ultimately a good decision. But not because of your juvenile intention to bully Aaron by reminding him of your reach. The hero of Sati is too tempting an opportunity for Aaron to ignore. He will use Derek's status and popularity to elevate his own, increasing his access to new contacts, networks, and opportunities. Meanwhile, Agent Darek will be able to observe the man's psychology far more closely than typical surveillance would allow. Wouldn't you agree, Agent? He has invited me many times now to escort him during active club hours, and asked for some small, very visible labor, such as assisting with security. Predictable, though I'm sure he realizes that. I imagine he's calculated that risks of you discovering something meaningful is outweighed by the benefit of your proximity. But he's underestimated you, hasn't he, Agent? Enough. You presume incorrectly that I didn't consider this. However, as an avid enjoyer of games, I'll play along with yours. He attempts to measure his annoyance, but still glances over his shoulder and at his son with hard eyes. Assuming your intuition is justified, just how critical an issue do you feel Aaron's parallel objective might be, Agent? Darek doesn't answer immediately. His throat tenses as if to swallow, but he stops himself with a short cough. I don't believe Aaron can be trusted, but I also have no present reason to assume that he intends to act directly against you. given everything that he has to lose, a point that I've already made quite clear to him. So my reading of the situation is that he intends to profit off the expedition by discreetly selling information to a third party. Considering the need for relative secrecy, this could jeopardize the mission. Interesting. Thank you, Agent. I am gratified that at least one of you realizes action needn't be direct to be perilous. I nod to Darek. He frowns. Taroff yawns. If I'd had known this was going to be a trial, I'd have worn a flashier suit. I thought this was about you knowing something that I didn't. I ignore him for now. He'll understand soon enough. What sort of third-party agent? Do you think that he's spying for the Shrad? That was my first assumption as well, but the current intelligence suggests that Uria's exile was more of a political upheaval than we first realized. Erin's continued argument on how granting her asylum would force the Order to act, and therefore provide us future openings to exploit, has proven correct. I believe Director Hadil mentioned the Hierophant in his latest report. He did, but sending some Ration Order assassin like that here, it's telling that they're willing to risk war over a single exile. Darek nods. Given their close relationship, I doubt Erin has any interest in seeing Uri killed. And with the Hierophant already dispatched, negotiation with the Shrad for Uri's safety is likely off the table. She's obviously more valuable dead. That being the case, the next most likely group for Erin to work with is the Cybersea Collective. They have the most to gain from information that he could offer due to his... He chances a very dangerous look at his father. Proximity to Leotian politics. Taroff's brow tightens. Good. About that. I tap my console. Mona, send the speaker Chavone in. Yes, Chairman. The larger Wolfman makes an irritated noise. We've skipped my trial and gone straight to the punishment, I see. How amusing that you'd admonish me for being the indulgent one. I smile. A moment later, the door opens, and the graceful, feathered form of our good Speaker of the People's Assembly steps through. Thank you for waiting, Speaker. Chairman. She regards me with a bitter coldness. At the expense of my other duties, I have brought the report you requested. I'll need to tighten that leash on her as well. Her eyes then flick from me to the wolves, pausing to assess them and the remaining armchair. Agent. Secretary. Speaker. Have a seat. He gestures to the chair. I'll stand. He shrugs to play it off, but I know that look. Chavone clocked it immediately, but he's just now realizing that he's the lowest seated person in the room. Standing would admit the fact bothers him. Good. Best to let the two of them soften each other up. Then I'll corner them separately. I do appreciate an efficient meeting. Afraid of something, Speaker? Only of reducing myself. Shall I begin? She looks at me. Taroff does not, his narrowed eyes promising retribution. One moment. I turn my attention to Darek, who has been understandably unnerved by the increasingly hostile atmosphere. I might be inclined towards benevolence, given his good work. Am I dismissed, Chairman? But the trap is not yet sprung. So his question is a plea for escape that I do not grant. Not quite yet, Agent. Speaker, please inform the Secretary of what you've learned. She nods. My sources report that the Cybersea Collective have discovered the details of your planned expedition and are making plans to interfere, an ambush likely. There are rumors. The larger Wolfman interrupts her with a loud, bored sigh. Is this your gotcha, Chairman? Embarrassing. Of course the Collective has plans, by design. I personally leaked the information to give them no other choice. It is my job to root out and destroy domestic terrorists. He regards Siobhan with a victorious slick of his muzzle. Do you have anything actually useful to report? She does not flinch. If you two would be so kind as to actually inform me about the nature of your expedition. A company matter. The People's Assembly simply does not have jurisdiction. It would be more honest for you to say none of your business. Which you, of course, realize would sound extremely suspicious. Especially when you demand that I squeeze my personal contacts for information on private citizens like a certain Aaron of the Rayon. She eyes Tarov specifically. Is Leotian intelligence not up to the task? He ominously shifts his weight, coiling his tail so that it looks like he might spring. Siobhan's form tenses. Mine does not. Father. The elder wolf relaxes only slightly. Going around the Office of Defense sets a dangerous precedent, Chairman. I'm sure the other offices would be curious which one you intend to ignore next. You're being dramatic. I employed the speaker to investigate the man as a personal curiosity. Quietly and gracefully, two things you seem to find very challenging. I see. And did you discover proof of Aaron's involvement with the collective? No. Well, I'm sure your constituents would be pleased to know how you've been paid to waste government time. You didn't let me finish. I think you'll see my constituents will be quite pleased to know I'm doing your job. She's needling him. While entertaining, it's challenging to control. Speaker. She sighs. As I was saying, rumor has it that the company matter is none other than a search for the legendary Virtuous AI. Through my investigation, I can confirm that, despite whatever bullshit you fed him, Aaron believes that rumor. I control the sudden desire to lift my brows. That was not in the summary of her report. Having just lifted his glass, Tarov likewise pauses mid-sip, eyeing me over the rim. Our differences aside, such a rumor is a problem for the both of us, especially in the hands of a slippery asset like Aaron. I make a discreet finger gesture indicating to him that this is also news to me. Apparently Siobhan has a play of her own. What say you, Agent? Admirably, he's maintained his composure, but he doesn't understand the stakes. I've heard nothing of this, but as I mentioned, Aaron has evaded me at times. It's baseless, of course. Why should rumors concern us? Siobhan regards him coolly. Because he's a philosopher who believes in the old stories, and is worried that Chairman intends to become a god. She then turns to me, a quirk of her lip revealing that there's more to this. I must pivot quickly. I wouldn't rule it out. She stares. Excuse me? This time Derek's eyes widen. Even Tarov is taken off guard. This is not our agreed upon strategy. I'll admit a piece of powerful technology is on the line. You're an intelligent woman and can infer as much, so I won't bother trying to hide it from you. Further silence or denial at this point would only feed the rumor. Agent Darek can confirm as much. He masters himself quickly. Coordinates were discovered in one of the newly restored arcology labs. Indeed, I've been aware of several still unaccounted for pre-catastrophe virtuosity research projects for many years. While they were presumed lost by my predecessors, I am not so easily convinced. You are, of course, aware of the bit credits that I've set aside to fund my investigations? Yes, you've wasted quite a bit. So you believe in this tailspinner nonsense? Let's be frank, Siobhan. Innovation in the company has stalled for decades. We need an infusion of new ideas and technologies. That is my primary motivation. However, if something has the power to strengthen my hold over the company and this city, are you so naive as to expect that I would not employ it? She was not expecting that I would be so honest. Tarov, however, quickly understands the need for this adjustment and lifts his glass casually, observing the remainder of his drink. Our dear chairman has never been subtle about her ambitions. Unbalanced, her posture is discordant, a mixture of tight and loose. You can't be serious. Even you, Tarov? You're supposed to be a check on her. This would be your distant grandfather's attempted coup all over again. The other families would never stand for it. They'll decimate you first. She points accusingly at him, and then to Darek, tone becoming shrill. Are both of you that hungry for civil war? Hardly. Secretary Maltotiger was an aggressive and violent man, a detriment to the city. Tarov may be unsuitable, but New Leos may be the one thing that he holds in higher esteem than his family, or himself. The large man shrugs. I don't disagree. My great-great-grandfather had his reasons for taking extreme measures. But this is a different time. The woman simply opens her mouth and then snaps it shut. As expected, she had not prepared a counter-argument to this particular outcome. You may disagree with my goals, Siobhan, but do keep in mind that I have not had to employ hit squads or blow up buildings. Regardless of the nature of this lost technology, I will take advantage of any opportunity to ensure the future stability of our regime. I turn to Tarov. Assuming the Secretary of Defense agrees, he dismissively waves a cigar. I do. Best we find whatever's to be found before anyone else has the opportunity to use it against us. Good. Now to rein him back in. Indeed, a conclusion that you might have reached without me had you listened to your son's concerns. Tarov regards me with a venomous smile. I've embarrassed him. Darek shifts a step back and out of sight of his father's peripheral. The families will never allow the consolidation of power that you're implying, so forgive me if I don't see how stability is a foregone conclusion. Her posture and voice are now notably more controlled. Barely. Come now, Siobhan. Certainly you agree strong leadership is in the people's best interests, especially in these trying times with Shrad aggressors at our doorstep. Regardless of the circumstances, concentrated power is always an invitation for abuse. The grip on her pad tightens. I won't debate that point. For whatever it's worth, should my ascendancy become an option, I would also uplift the relevant stakeholders to maintain an appropriate balance. After all, I am sharp because I am frequently challenged. So there would be little difference compared to how we run things now. But that is an insane set of statements. She controls and channels her fury into her voice. I've always admired that about her, both forceful and sharp, even when pressed. Yours is an elected office. Exactly how do you propose that we replace a goddess? Would you simply step down? My response must be equal. Are you so quick to forget how it was your family who helped put me here? I'd hate to think that you're suggesting that the Nask and the Brigga should cease our alliance. That would be very inconvenient for you. After all, even a goddess needs her court. She stares at me. I smile. A joke. Is it? We're engaging in a thought experiment, Siobhan. People have been fantasizing about the mythical secrets of the Cybersea for ages. And I, too, enjoy the occasional flight of fancy. You should see my SimStim collection. But as I have illustrated, even if we did find some kind of god tech, the company would handle it responsibly, as we have all other rediscovered technologies. The grip on her pad remains stiff. She is not convinced. Fine. But she does relent. That will suffice for now. One down. She's going to tell all this to the assembly. He puffs on that cigar, as if to suggest that I should do something about it. Your turn, little wolf. I might. And have them do what? Whatever it takes to promote future stability, as you said. since we're all in agreement that's what we want. Enough with the subtext. Are you threatening to rally a resistance in the People's Assembly against us? Because that would destabilize the status quo the city government and the company offices have maintained for centuries. Such a disturbance would make us look weak to our enemies, like the Shroud. It is only a threat if you're worried, Secretary. All that I am suggesting is that we want a conversation. We'll work with the chairman so as long as our plans remain reasonable. The wolf keeps tapping his cigar, but Siobhan and I can see it. He does that when he's annoyed and trying not to overstate his position by baring his teeth. The natural Darwolf inclination. Good. I'm pleased to hear it. Now continue your report. She nods. Current information suggests that Aaron intends to assist the CSC to make certain that you fail to acquire whatever technology there is to find. As I said earlier, predictable. Both Aaron and I knew that he was going to leak information, which was why I was very specific about what information I gave him. That he might think that we're going after Godtech is ultimately irrelevant. As we just discussed, he is a useful pawn. His eyes flick to me. Is that all? I wait. If you'd ever allow me to finish a complete thought, they intend to target your son. A little more. I beg your pardon? What? The hero of Sati whom you so conveniently assigned to a place known to be patronized by tech-punk dissidents and collective operatives, who you're sending out into the wild on a fool's expedition organized by an untrustworthy third party. I'm surprised by you, Secretary. You're not usually this careless. You have no idea. Now, I stand, interrupting his thoughts enough to cut him off, though his muzzle remains open. It would certainly be unfortunate if our timeline was delayed because of one man's overconfidence. I stare him down with a heated intensity that I rarely employ. But more importantly, with how visible Agent Darek is due to his celebrity status, it would be a powerful statement if the CSC could harm him. It would also shake trust in our security apparatus, and therefore in you, Secretary. He closes his muzzle with an audible snap. It's worth noting that the secure far-right, dangerous material storage facility needs a new captain, and only a ranking coordinates agent can act in that capacity. Assigning Agent Darek there would certainly keep him out of harm's way. I can see the tension building in his shoulders, the anger. He feels the leash tighten. That position is a wasteful use of talented officers. You may as well lock them in a closet. Besides, weren't you just suggesting that it was a good idea to assign Darek to the respite? I did. You'll also recall how I said that it was both clumsy and risky. This is a consequence of that risk. Irrelevant. I have both Aaron and the CSC under control. I look back at Siobhan, and she pounces. And how was that exactly? Are you deaf? Have you not been hearing how I intentionally leaked information? How I have been manipulating the collective? Oh, I'm aware. You think you've manipulated them into a position where they have no choice but to act? And when they do, you'll strike? But with these rumors of godhood, even if untrue, they'll become desperate. You didn't account for that, did you? And how was I supposed to know? By paying attention. Again, you surprise me, Secretary. A younger version of you would have already forced Agent Darek to make sure that Aaron had a conveniently fatal accident to prove your family is not to be trifled with. Either you're losing your touch, or perhaps the spray has become too much for you. I'm not an assassin. You're soft. Your father has known that for a long time. You've always been his weakness. The larger wolf puffs one final time on his cigar, and then stubs it out against the back of his hand. A puff of burnt fur fills my office with a stink. I have never been weak. Siobhan eyes a performance warily. And my son has proven many times that he can take care of himself. Naturally, speaker, you would be the one to see all the joy sucked out of the statecraft, because that's your problem. You fear uncertainty. We embrace it. The game is the point, and the potential rewards are great. So if I choose to keep Aaron alive, rest assured that it's because I've determined that he's more useful to me that way. I have the situation handled. But in the light of the present threat to his son, the statement still rings hollow. I hope that's true, for all our sakes. Especially yours. She says it to Darek, finally relaxing the grip on her pad. I allow that final statement to hang for exactly 2 seconds, lifting a hand to stall any further reprisal. Enough. I believe my point has been made. Please continue your work, Secretary, but this time with all due caution and mindfulness of the potential consequences. Thank you, Speaker. You may go. The woman bows, glances at Tarov at final time, and then sees herself out. Chairman, considering this news, you are to change nothing. After all, your father has everything handled. Thank you for coming. You're dismissed. He looks to his father, who also waves him off. Thank you, Chairman. A bow, and he exits. Tarov watches his son go, waiting for the door to close behind him before standing and setting his now empty snifter on my desk. A poor attempt to toss the carcass of a cigar into the glass results in it spilling a bit of ash over the desk's polished wood. Well played, Chairman. You are, as always, skilled at the game. I know Creel has approved of your leadership, but do keep in mind his appreciation for hierarchy extends only as long as you can keep it. I smile. He does not bow as he leaves. I wait until the door closes, eyeing the ash on my desk. How tedious. I brush some of it away. Mona, take an early lunch. Thank you, Chairman. Then I sit. Did you enjoy the show, Mother? You've become sloppy. I felt you immediately. Inaction has dulled your finesse. Naturally, she is silent. I suppose that I should at least thank you for not distracting me during my business. Managing Tarov is a delicate affair on a good day, and now I have to deal with the phantom of a god thing haunting our shadows. His in particular. You could walk away at any time. There she is. A little too late for that, unless you prefer Creo get his metaphysical hands on your god-forsaken AI backup. Because despite our supposed alliance, I know Tarov has every intention of finding it first. He won't know how to use it, of course, so he'll hand it off to Creo to garner favor. And you know what that would mean. You've shown restraint in not having him killed. Please don't mistake convenience for compassion. For the moment, I need Tarov where he is. But you could certainly save me a lot of time, and his life, potentially, by simply telling me where you hid the damn thing. The backup is guarded and inaccessible. The world does not need more tail spinners. I would agree if you'd act like one and fix all the things that you've allowed to break. To what end, daughter? An endless cycle of repairs? There is no future down that road, only a long death. It's time for a different story. The people of this world should. We are not going to have this argument again. The people of this world have no idea what they've lost. Expecting them to make a rational decision about what they want is absurd. So if you won't act in your capacity as a last tail spinner, I will. What would that even look like? The past is gone. Would you unravel this world and all of its people just to bring back the old one? Even if you did, it wouldn't be the same. Have you tried? Now get out of my head and go bother one of your other clones. I'm sure the Wanderer or whatever Rania is calling herself will listen. You shouldn't hate her. She's your sister. It's pointless to hate a fool. Besides, our familial ties diminished around the same time Creo started manipulating people into hunting us. All because of his hate for you. How many of us daughters are even left now? 6? 7? What does sisterhood even mean when you've seen most of them killed? She is quiet for several moments. 4. Interesting. I return the holographic maps on either side of my desk to their original positions. You deride Varanya for organizing a future while you discreetly organize your desk to project power. A reflection of me. You are more similar than different. She's become an unhinged fortune teller, a witch obsessed with opaque visions of infinite futures. If I had the spare time to find her, I'd run her out into the white and tell her to count every snowflake. Maybe then she'd realize the pointlessness of it. I work with facts. Darwolves are instinctually inclined to avoid people positioned behind objects set at certain angles. They're sensitive to certain frequencies of light. Why am I even bothering with this? You know all about them. You made them. That isn't. Tell me what you want or this conversation is over. Another long pause. I'm worried for you. Do you intend to do anything about it? This is a slippery. Curious that you draw the line at only barging into the heads of your daughters when Creo's primary agent is hoving down the hallway. One act of power becomes two, becomes many, until, spare me your excuses. You've allowed yourself to become paralyzed by terror. Perhaps, because there are mistakes that I've already made, and I alone fully understand their consequences. Should you follow this path to its conclusion, soon too will you. Our destinies diverged a long time ago. One way or another, I will fix this world. Now take your terror somewhere else. Predictably, her presence begins to dim. Good. Bargainer? Yes, mistress. Return the lights to their usual intensity, but have them flicker at an irregular interval spaced no further apart than 5 seconds. Then send in the Hierophant. Oh, Ravy. I'm sorry. I trace the thread which connects us, warm and familiar. In some ways, I've been no better than Cal, allowing grief to obscure a worthy, if different and uncertain future. For centuries, I allowed myself to be trapped in a story of my own making, blinding myself with the wrong promise that I needed to fix a thing that did not need it. Over time, one act of power invited another and another. There was no acceptable measure of completion, until one day I realized that I no longer recognized everything that I had done, and I no longer recognized myself. Until you. Because I finally understand why Phil stole the stars so long ago, and why her last act was to place them in my hands. We engineers are the weavers, the architects of dreams. Ravy, I don't know if any of Phil remains, but your connection to her is undeniable. You and her are the same, and so I love you both with such dangerous desperation. I know even a single act of love would see you forever altered, as I have been altered. So, I'm sorry that I can only apologize to this void, and not to you. I'm sorry that I can only operate as your witness. And I'm sorry for my daughters. I urge them towards certainty, not for your sake, but to commit them to the choices that I know will change everything. One last time. Because I can see it with open eyes now, my little dreamer. To free these stars, I have held bound for so long. To rid this world of our tailspinner's poison. For Phail's story to finally reach its end. So too must yours. To be continued. So, we could see from this that although Tarov seemed to be like sort of like the big bad in the story, that he isn't what's, pulling the strings. It's actually the chairman, who apparently is a clone of this person that's referring to Ravy so warmly, so motherly. I'm trying desperately to recall if in the previous part, one of them mentioned being Ravi's mom. So I'm not sure if it's her. Again, it's been a long time since that happened, so I don't really remember. And although there is the loom, I don't really want to go through it because that's a lot of information that I feel like it's just gonna go in one ear, come out the other. Or go in one eye and just get lost in the void. Again, the chairman woman is... Okay, so we're getting like little snippets here and there that apparently the world that they're living in is not real, in so fact that it's been altered significantly to the point where it is now. And there's the implication that this other person, the Ravi's mom, maybe, created most of what happened here, and that the clones maybe were made in order to sort of help her maintain this world, and that she has become so dissatisfied with what she's done to this world that she really no longer wishes to keep messing with it, I guess. And that this sort of entity that lives in the cyber sea, which I guess would be the internet, wants to get rid of them. So it wants to get rid of the clones that were created, so either to keep like the world as it is or to change it back to, maybe, I don't know. But the chairman wants to use the super secret AI thingy in order to become godlike. I would assume like her mother, and fix the mess that they have created, which I guess would be make the world in her image in a way, or maybe not in her image, but like to make it the way that she wants it. Question mark? A little confused actually. And that the chairman is basically, they know what they're doing. They're playing 4D chess while everyone is playing normal chess. They're playing 5D chess. They know all the moves. They have everything precisely the way they want it. But that is the issue with things that you need to have in the exact order, in the exact way that you want them to, in order for everything to work, because that's not how life works. Life is what happens when you're busy making plans. And perhaps maybe she's not taking Ravy into account, or maybe something else, because Ravy with his own group is planning to steal whatever they're gonna find or something too. So there's like a whole bunch of groups looking to steal something that they don't really know what it is either. And we also have like the big tail spinner eater monster thingy, so yeah. Anyways, poor Darek. Out of all the characters here, even though Kavir exists, I actually kind of like Darek more. If only because he's sort of like the poor little boy. He's like right there, and he like feels so, he looks and feels so uncomfortable in all the positions that he's in right now. So he's like, I don't want to be in this meeting anymore. I want to leave. And then, like, as you can see, Aaron, Ravi's father, is just like parading him around too. And he isn't really finding anything of worth. And he's just sort of like, I don't like being here anymore. I want to go home. But yeah. So yeah, Darek is probably my favorite character. Kavir is like unfortunately, Kavir only showed up a few, like, at the beginning. And like in that little one scene where they kind of were like doing it, but then I like Darek more. I like that sad little face that he puts on all the time. Anyway, so what are your thoughts about like what's going on, your theories or whatever? Write it down in the comments, and thank you all for watching / listening. If you would like to play String Zero yourself, you can do so by going down to the link in the description, which have a direct link for the itch.io page where you can download and play the game yourself. If you would like to support the project, you can become a Patreon member or a Subscribe Star member, which presumably gets you earlier access to builds of String Zero and whatever else they might offer, probably some behind the scenes stuff, some works in progress or whatever. If you'd like to support the channel, you can become a channel member, which gives you earlier access to these videos as they're being scheduled. And that is a nice way to show your support. You can also just subscribe to the channel, give the video a like, give all my videos a like. You don't even have to watch them, just like them. Just leave them playing in the background. But yeah, support the channel. Get earlier access to the videos as they're scheduled. And if you can't do that for whatever reason or don't want to give money and have YouTube be like the middleman, then there is Ko-fi. I am currently saving up to buy a MacBook Air. So yeah, because Windows is becoming notoriously unreliable, unfortunately. And at least Mac has a history of being a little bit more reliable than Windows. Not being so dumb with their decisions, just really obtuse. But obtuse is better than dumb. Anyways, so yeah, also Throne. But yeah, like, whatever, any support. Anyway, so I guess that's it for now, and I will see you guys in the next part. Well, the next video. Bye-bye.